Hey everybody, they're Transformed here again, and today I'm reviewing the Transformers Titans Return Legends class Cosmos. Now I wasn't planning on picking up this figure as I do already have the Generations Sterling 30 Cosmos, which is the exact same mold. But my Walmart had them for only $3.50 on clearance, so it was kind of hard to say no. And speaking of that Cosmos, that is the biggest thing. There are quite a few differences between these two, even though they are different, or they are the same molds. Let's go and bring them in. You can see immediately, let's see if I can get a good angle on that. You can see immediately the older Cosmos, the Generations version, is a lot brighter green, while this Cosmos is more of a darker green. The paint apps are basically the same on both. They both have the yellow arrows going down the front. They both have the yellow engines on the back, red dot on top. They have the windows painted on both. Although they are slightly different. The Titans Return version, the frame around the window in the middle is not quite as outlined as well. You can actually see it looks like some yellow paint's missing at the top on mine. Well, here you can see the yellow paint sent all the way to the top of the window. So there is that. I'm not sure if that's just my version or what. And my Generations version seems to let the head tuck in a little better. And they both also have gunmetal gray for the guns underneath, but I think it's a little bit darker on the Titans Return version. And mine on my Generations version is starting to rub off. And another difference between these two is that the Generations version comes with payload here. So there is that difference. And just to go ahead and get some more size comparison here. Here he is next to Titans Return Brawn. So typical Legends class size. So yeah, if you already have the Generations version, there might not be much reason to pick this version up unless you care about it being darker green, which I do think is a bit more toy accurate, G1 toy accurate. But it's hard to say. And payload is still compatible with this version as well. But, you know, he is your usual flying saucer. He looks pretty good. I do like the twin guns on the front there. I do like they kind of made a more modernized twin saucer, as in you can tell which way the front is immediately. Not just because of the arrows and the guns, but also the jets let you know which way this flying saucer is facing, as well as the windows there. And it's got little fins here to kind of imply some kind of aerodynamic control when it's flying. It's got the tail fin and everything. So it's believable this might be able to fly around through the atmosphere and still control itself fairly well. Underneath, there is some gappage here where you can see the actual figure's transformation. But for the most part, it's got some cool detail in here, some wiring, some piping, all that good stuff. Pretty nice little details in there. Now, as I mentioned, this is the same mold, so the transformation is exactly the same. All you're going to do is come to the back, grab this fin, and pop it up. That'll let you pop the arms away from the legs here, like so. Bring the arms up like that. Go ahead and take the legs, bring them on out a bit, and that'll give you the room to bring this whole piece right here, tap it in like that. And now this piece is a lot stiffer than my Generations version. My Generations version, it'll pop open like nothing. This one's actually pretty stiff. Then you're going to bring the legs down, like so. Rotate toward the guns on the outside of the legs. Then this piece is on a double hinge. You're going to bring it out, and you're going to have that little nub end up inside of this nub, like so. Same on this side over here. This little nub's going to fit behind this piece. Now give him his legs. Then the waist will rotate. And this is our difference. The waist on this Titans Return version is very tight. My Generations version is very, very loose. Go ahead and bring the arms on down. And take the jet thrusters and fold them up on the back. And finally, you're going to grab the head here. Just pull it on up. You might need some fingernails for this, but you can do it with your fingers like I did there. And there you have Titans Return Cosmos in his robot mode. Actually, let me zoom that out a little. There we go. And now that we have Cosmos in its robot mode, let's go ahead and get the important comparisons out of the way. We'll go ahead and bring in Generations payload here. Let's get him home, or not payload, Generations Cosmos. Did I say payload earlier? I am sorry if I got that all mixed up. I'm probably confusing y'all. Here we have Generations Cosmos. If he'll stand, my background's being a little tricky about flattening out. And you can see once again there is a color difference. The Titans Return version is significantly darker. But there are some other deco differences. If we bring it in here, you can see the Generations version has a little white collar around his head, while the Titans Return version has a red collar. And you can also see there's some paint chippage around my Generations cars, most specifically here at the cheek and here at the back of the head here. And that's because I believe in the Generations version, they completely did his head up in white. His head's actually made of white plastic, and they painted in the red, yellow, and blue. While on the Titans Return version, it's red to begin with, making it a lot more matte of a matte red. As you notice, it's not quite as shiny. And then they did it in the yellow and blue for his face. And if you look at that if you look at the two next to each other, the blue paint they use for Generations version is also a lot more flat. It's a very basic blue. While here it has more of a shiny metallic blue look. It's hard to show because of my camera, but it is a little bit shinier on this one, a little bit darker and shinier. Another difference is his Autobot symbol is much smaller. Here we have a big, bold Autobot symbol, and over here we just have a very small decoed one. You might also notice some black lines on mine. That's just where I panel-lined mine a few years ago, so that's not part of the detailing that comes in on the figure, so please ignore that. The only other difference I've spotted between these two is that the inner arm plastics are different colors. On the Generations version over here, it was the same green as the arm itself. While on the Titans Return version, they made it yellow to kind of match the forearm, which I do think looks a little bit better. It breaks up that color a little bit more, and it makes his arm stick out a little bit more. I do still wish they painted his fist, but I still like how it looks. But yeah, there's quite a few differences between these two. And now we're going to bring in Titans Return Brawn just to get another size comparison in. You can see typical Legend size. And as far as the articulation goes, he is the same as the Generations version. You do get a swivel at the head, although it seems to be limited now. Instead of going around, it only goes that far and that far left and right. Could just be mine now, might not pull it out right. The arms are on ball joints, so they do swivel fully and go outward. There is some backwards movement using the transformation joint, and there is a ball jointed elbow, so it swivels and does full 90-degree movement. You do get a swivel at the waist using the transformation joint, like so you can fully rotate that. You do get ball jointed hips and ball jointed knees, and they do swivel and hinge, and you do get technically a secondary knee or an ankle movement if you prefer using the transformation joint here. And another thing that I noticed with my Generations version when I was messing around with him is that his knees like to pop off really easily, but on my Titans Return version here, they do not. So that is pretty nice. That is another difference. So hopefully they fix some of the molding issues. And that's Titans Return Cosmos. Rather short review, but I've already reviewed this mold previously. There's no payload to review with him. He doesn't have any kind of weapon. That's honestly the only thing I would say is worse about him than the Generations version is that he does not have any kind of weapon. And even Brawn Sea Spray at least came with like a piece of their vehicle came off to form their weapon. So that is rather unfortunate, but I'm sure you can solve that yourself if you have a weapon gun sitting around or two. Plus, he still can shoot from the hip with his, knee guns here. I do think the colors look a little bit better. The Autobot decal, if you want big or small, is kind of up to you. I do like the yellow on the arms better. I like that his head won't be chipping red paint off everywhere like the Generations one has. And I do think that it's better not to have payload, because otherwise you're going to have some paint chipping all over his guns on his knees there. So, I do think this one pulls off a little bit better. Plus, they're on sale right now. If you see them for $3 to $5 like I have, go for it. So, this has been Very Transformed. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.